Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Writing Life Stories, How to Make Memories into Memoirs, Ideas into Essays, and Life into Literature. By Bill Roorbach. Narrated by John Mclain. 10th Anniversary Edition. Preface. So much has changed in the 10 years since the first edition of Writing Life Stories was published. For writers, perhaps the biggest development has been the wholesale advent of the Internet, with its constant evolution, its endless opportunities for interaction, for instant research, for locating and speaking directly to the audience via email, blogs, and websites. Everyone's typing now. Continuing events like those of September 11, 2001, bring subtle changes in outlook around the world and underscore the need for freedom of expression everywhere. Cell phones, merely irritating in 1998, are everywhere, including my pocket. In my own life, other shifts. My daughter, Alicia, was born in 2000. My mother, Reba, died in 2006. In between, both of my beloved dogs died as well. I left a tenured position at Ohio State University to write full-time, only to accept an endowed chair elsewhere when the opportunity arose. The new car I bought when this book first came out now has 150,000 miles on it. Time for change there as well. Memoir, as a popular genre, has moved past most of its early controversies and enjoys new standing in the world of letters and in the university. But there's also brand new hullabaloo, such as the James Fry scandal. An ex-addict makes stuff up, then lies about lying. Or the Deborah Rodriguez dust-up. Did all she said happened really happen at her beauty school in Kabul? And is this the end of the world? Of course it's not. That roar you hear comes from the explosive power of narrative as applied to real life. What is the role of memoir and the essay in the quest for truth, or even truth? You'll answer these questions over and over, always in your own way, with every paragraph you write. To ensure breadth of outlook, I enlisted the help of a writer very different from me, Kristen Keckler, and together we have brought Writing Life Stories to a new century. Kristen adds a woman's point of view to what had been an excessively male enterprise, as well as a scholar's clear eye. Her Ph.D. is in the field of creative nonfiction. She's younger than I am, too, a whole generation younger, and she helped me see that cassette tapes were no longer the best way to record anything. And of course, that was just the beginning of her contribution. We meant to just freshen this book up a little, but in the end, Kristen and I have wrought great changes. Old friends of Writing Life Stories will find plenty here to recharge their batteries, lots of new ideas and fresh instruction. First-timers will join those returning to find new exercises in every chapter, clearer explanations of difficult issues like the use of metaphor, more up-to-date information on publishing, examples from newer writers and more recent titles to complement the dozens of examples in the original edition, and a much more sophisticated look at the Internet. We've updated the very popular reading list with scores of new books in our field, every one of which challenges and ultimately changes the way we think of memoir, literary journalism, and the personal essay, those genres which together have come to be thought of and taught as creative nonfiction. The new Writing Life Stories is still the perfect book for the independent writer trying to find her way into a whole lifetime of great material. But it's also much improved as a tool for the creative nonfiction or composition classroom. Thanks for taking us home. Let us hear how you do. Introduction. In most books, the I, or first person, is omitted. In this, it will be retained. That, in respect to egotism, is the main difference. We commonly do not remember that it is, after all, always the first person that is speaking. I should not talk so much about myself if there were anybody else whom I knew as well. Unfortunately, I am confined to this theme by the narrowness of my experience. Henry David Thoreau. Gal Ferris had a lifetime of stories and ideas. He surely had something to say. Yet when he sat down at his keyboard to get it written, nothing came, or nothing he cared to show anyone, certainly nothing like the stories he'd always told at family parties, the stories his kids said he'd better write down, the stories his grandchildren were starting to ask for. The surprising thing was that Gow had been a news writer for 45 years. 45 years of writing other people's stories. 45 years of a confident professional approach to the facts. 45 years of successful writing for a major newspaper. Retirement brought this. Silence. Silence when he'd expected his life and humor and lessons to pour out, whole short memoir after short memoir, essay after essay, article after article, book after book. What was going wrong? He needed a change of place, that's all. He kissed his wife goodbye, his third wife, truth to tell, quite a story there. Death and heartbreak in the first marriage, betrayal and loneliness in the second. Called a rental agent he knew on Cape Cod, hired himself for an amazingly inexpensive off-season 10 days to Nantucket, where many writers had gone before him. Perfect. The surf pounded distantly, no phone to ring, no visitors, no pressures upon him, not even mail. My brother died when I was 18, he wrote. Always he'd wanted to write a memoir of his brother, but nothing followed, just 10 straight mornings of staring at his notebook. Guilty walks, longer each day, hourly snacks, resharpened pencils. Occasionally he wrote lame sentences of description, his brother's great size, his brother's big teeth, his brother's favorite expression, that did nothing to bring his clear memories of the lost sibling to the page, nothing to shape those memories into something someone else might enjoy reading, a memoir, much less into anything resembling literature. Afternoons he roamed the October beach in writerly despair. During the night before his last day on the island, he woke to a fit of inspiration, clicked on the bare bedside bulb, took notes for a different project, a memoir of his career. Next morning he didn't pause for breakfast, rushed to the kitchen table. He'd come to distrust the little desk his landlord had provided. Wrote, "I was a newspaper man for 45 years," and kept going. 10 pages, a rush of words, great relief, something to show for his trip and the lonely days of his vigil. Home the next night, he pulled out his pages and read. This didn't take long. He read fast and with growing embarrassment. What he'd meant triumphantly to show his new wife, he tucked into his desk drawer beneath a stack of similar pages. The day's ferry ride and drive home had given him enough perspective to hear clearly how the opening of his journalist's memoir came off. Pompous, puffy, wordy, nostalgic, nothing like what he'd envisioned in that moment of wakefulness, as far from the truth as Pluto from the sun. Gow was a reasonable, humble, reserved person. Gow was a precise and no-nonsense man. Why couldn't he get that on the page? I know Gow's story because after a couple more months of false starts and increasing discouragement, he signed up for a summer class I happened to be teaching at the University of Vermont. First day of class, he sat there glowering at me. Gow Ferris was pissed. And Gow, of course, is not alone. Janet Bellwether had taught writing for 9 years to high school kids, knew all the rules, knew what she liked when it came to student work, knew how to get even the most challenging kids to pull off their headphones and write. Her particular pride came in helping her young students see that what they had to say mattered, that their lives were important, that they could reach readers. She had wonderful exercises. The kids had a blast. She'd march around the room giving praise and advice, urging and scolding, reading passages aloud. Janet was a great teacher, funny and smart.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?